A very good morning, present here. Today, I am Ashish Kandala on behalf of entire Vista Organizing Committee. Welcome you all to Asia's largest international business summit, Vista 2024. First of all, I would like to thank you all for becoming a part of this ceremony and gracing it with your auspicious presence. Vista, this year, is an amalgamation of ideas, discoveries, innovation, and new possibilities. A platform where we redefine the future of business. With participation from colleges across the world, Vista is scaling new heights. I'm really happy to share that this year we have witnessed close to 70,000 registrations across events, workshops, and speaker sessions. I am Bangalore has always championed innovation, providing a platform where dreams take flight and ideas become reality. We are honored to have a distinguished panel of dignitaries who inspire us with their insights and experiences every day. So please join me in welcoming our chief guest for the evening, Mr. Rajiv Shivats. He is a partner investor at Antler India, and he has been a co-founder of a very popular brand called Urban Ladder. He has significantly contributed to the startup ecosystem with his entrepreneurial ventures and investments. And also, I would like to highlight that Rajiv sir has also been a proud alumni of IIM Bangalore from 2004 batch. Yes, sir. Uh, Next, we have our director of IIM Bangalore, Professor Rishikesh G. Krishnan, whose visionary leadership has shaped business education all over India. I would like to call upon Director sir on the stage. We have Professor Manaswini Balla, Chairperson PGPBA, and Professor Raj Lakshmi V. Murthy, Chairperson of Student Welfare, whose unwavering support has been instrumental in making this event possible. I would like professors to invest. We also extend our heartfelt welcome to the faculty members, Colonel S.D. Aravind, CEO, and Ms. Komal Devi, our hostel administrative officer. Their unwavering guidance, their unwavering guidance has been a beacon of inspiration for us. We are deeply grateful for your presence, and we look forward to the invaluable insights that we will gain tonight. Mark the auspicious beginning of Vista 2024, we will now proceed with the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. This tradition symbolizes the dispelling of darkness and welcoming of knowledge, wisdom, and prosperity, reflecting our very own motto of I am Bangalore, Tejasvi Namaditamastu. That is, let our study be enlightening. It signifies our collective journey towards enlightenment and the bright future that lies ahead. I would like our dignitaries to light the lamp, and meanwhile, I would like to invite Vaishnavi on stage to sing a small prayer on this auspicious occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, let the illumination of this lamp remind us of the light of knowledge that guides our path and power of determination that drives our ambitions.
ವರವಲ್ಲಭರಮಣ ವಿಘ್ನಹರಣ ವರವಲ್ಲಭರಮಣ ವಿಘ್ನಹರಣ ಸರಸಿರುಹ ಚರಣ ಮಾಂ ಪಾಲಯ ವರವಲ್ಲಭರಮಣ ಆ हरकोद्भव सुरगणनायक हरिविदेन्द्रादि हर्ष प्रदायक करधृत कमलक दारितनुप्रीज पुरपासोद्भव धान्य रुसादसन स्मरसत सुन्दर स्मरसक कलाधराश्रित जनमन्दार श्रीलम्बोदर श्रित जनमन्दार श्रीलम्बोदर वरवल्लभ रमणा
Thank you, our dignitaries and Vaishnavi. That was a really beautiful prayer. As we continue with ceremony, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce a leader whose vision and dedication have been instrumental in making this event a reality. Under his stewardship, IIM Bangalore has flourished as a hub of innovation, excellence, and entrepreneurial spirit. Please join me in welcoming the director of IIM Bangalore, Professor Rishikesha T. Krishnan, to address the gathering.
Yeah, good evening. A very warm welcome to all of you. Great to see so many of you here at the opening ceremony of Vista. When they first told me it's going to happen on Friday evening, I wondered how many people will be here. But I'm delighted to see so many of you. Very warm welcome to Rajiv, who is our very eminent alum. You know, you will know that I've been around here in this institute for too long when you realize I was a professor, even when he was a student. So, but we all, some of us spend long careers in one institution. So I'm sure Vista will be a very exciting event. I had a look at the schedule. There are lots of interesting talks, panels, other events, competitions, so many things happening. So let me congratulate and compliment our Vista organizing team for all the effort they put in. Can you give them a big hand? Organizing events like this is a labor of love. It involves tremendous effort. I still recall, I mean, I guess it's all, I'm getting old now, but it's 40 years ago since I organized a Culfest in my undergrad school. And I remember the kind of effort we had to put in then. Of course, things have become much bigger and much more elaborate these days in all these events. So I can only imagine how much effort they've all put into this. So have a wonderful time. I don't think this is the time you came here to listen to me. So there are better speakers like Rajiv ahead. So I just wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Again, moving forward, it is my pleasure to introduce someone who plays a crucial role in enriching the lives of our students beyond the classroom. Our chairperson for student welfare, Professor Rajalakshmi Murthy, has been dedicated to ensuring that our students have a vibrant and supporting living and learning environment at the campus. Her tireless efforts have significantly contributed to the holistic development of our student community. Please join me in welcoming Professor Rajalakshmi Murthy to address the gathering.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of IMB, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Vista, our much-awaited Students' Business Conclave. Vista provides a platform for students, industry leaders, and entrepreneurs to come together, exchange ideas, and explore new business paradigms. The conclave is sort of a celebration of the tradition of excellence and innovation at IMB. Well, needless to say, like Professor Rishi said, organizing such a conclave takes a tremendous amount of planning, perseverance, and even risk-taking ability. So I commend the Vista team for putting together a great lineup of speakers and events for the conclave. We hope to see you all participate in large numbers in the various workshops, competitions, and discussions. We also have IMB alumni contributing to Vista in various capacities, such as speakers, and of course, we have Rajiv with us right now on the podium, conducting online workshops as industry experts, as event partners and judges for case competitions. Well, I'm told that they even pitch in to save the day if there is a last minute cancellation anytime. So their involvement adds tremendous value to the conclave and helps current batches connect with our alumni. I urge you to interact with them while they are here. As you participate in the various events, remember that events like these are not only about competition, but a great opportunity to interact, collaborate, learn, and network. So seize the opportunity, make the best of it, and most importantly, enjoy yourselves. All the best.
Thank you, Professor, for the inspiring address. I would like to invite Ms. Shreya Srivastav, Chief Coordinator of the Vista Organizing Committee, to address the gathering and officially commence this edition of Vista.
Thank you, Rishabh. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Team Vista, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Rajiv Srivastava, Director Professor Rishikesh Krishnan, Chairperson PGP and PGPBA, Professor Manaswini Gola, Chairperson Student Welfare, Professor Lakshmi Murthy, and our parents, faculty, Sima Sir, and Purna Ma'am. Is Summit and the Spectacular Day School Festival for now. From the academic and corporate communities, Vista responds to industry veterans and collaborators to create the perfect environment to drive innovation, change, and growth. Policy of being Asia's largest business conclave, Vista returns with its 24th edition, poised to transcend limitations and foster innovation in every sphere. Reimagine, reinvent, redefine. The principles epitomize the spirit of Vista 2024. Change and uncertainty, we challenge you to break free from the confines of convention and explore the uncharted territories of possibility. As businesses navigate the complexities of a dynamic global landscape, adaptability and innovation emerge as the cornerstones of success. This is the facing of this evolution, empowering individuals and organizations to redefine times and seize opportunities amidst uncertainty. As we stand today on the threshold of Vista 2024, I want to take a moment to invite you to the incredible minds and hearts that have made this event possible. Vista isn't just a fest, it's a labor of love, passion, and unwavering dedication. Behind the scenes, there's a 51-year-old family, a team that has put their heart and soul into every detail of this event over the past 6 months. We are deeply grateful to SAC, headed by our President Shubham Jagtap, for their invaluable support, and especially Nikhil Nalvade, our business secretary, whose actions and unwavering commitment have made this event possible. The team has weathered challenges, celebrated milestones, and stood by each other through every twist and turn. We were joined by 76 enthusiastic volunteers from PGP1s a month back, to add fresh energy and excitement to the team. These volunteers stepped in with open hearts and willing hands, eager to support us when it was needed the most. Team Vista promises an immersive experience over the next 2 days. Our speaker lineup includes Mr. Rahul Chari, Mr. Chandan Mandiratta, Mr. Ajay Datta, Mr. Sunita Bali, Mr. Abhijit Chabra, Mr. Prabjit Singh, Mr. Cheta Mahapatra, Mr. Sundar Subramanian, Mr. Rakesh Godhani, and Mr. Baman Irani. Our workshops are facilitated by the executives from top global firms, industry experts, and esteemed alumni. Our events and competitions are expected to receive participants from multiple colleges worldwide. At Vista, there is also entertainment. Mr. Kumar will join us for a night filled with laughter. From opening sessions to star nights, the event will have something for everyone. This event shall exemplify IMB's commitment to excellence and the ardent pursuit of the IMB family to serve as a beacon of light to our leaders of tomorrow. I would like to take this opportunity to provide the constant support from IIM Bangalore's Director, Chairperson PGP and PGPBA, Chairperson Student Welfare, all the deans, PGP Office, Chief Administrative Officer, professors, Communications and IT Department, and the Vista team for their continuous efforts for months, even in these times of uncertainty. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, and I wish everyone a great learning experience at Vista 2024. I now declare Vista 2024 open. Now comes the moment we've all been waiting for. I take immense pleasure in welcoming our chief guest, Mr. Rajiv Srivats. Mr. Rajiv Srivats is a renowned entrepreneur and investor with around 20 years of experience in the technology and startup ecosystem. Currently a partner at Antler India, Mr. Rajiv plays a pivotal role in identifying and nurturing promising startups, raising local funds, and building a strong Antler team in India. His leadership in deploying and operating a global early-stage venture capital firm in the country is truly remarkable. Before his venture into investing, Mr. Rajiv co-founded Urban Ladder in 2012, where his strategic vision and leadership transformed the company into India's favorite online furniture brand. Over the course of this journey, he raised over $100 million in venture capital for digital innovation and achieving significant milestones, including exceptional customer satisfaction and establishing Urban Ladder as an omnichannel leader in the industry. In addition to his entrepreneurial endeavors, Mr. Rajiv shares his insights on happiness, potential, careers, and startups through his podcast, One Life Theory. His career began in the corporate IT services industry and progressed through senior roles at Yahoo, where he contributed to the development of cutting-edge online and mobile products for emerging markets. An alumnus of IMB, Mr. Rajiv has been recognized on the prestigious Fortune 40 Under 40 list. His diverse experiences and relentless pursuit of growth and innovation make him an inspiring speaker on career transitions and entrepreneurship. The format of the session will be as follows. Mr. Rajiv Srivats will address the audience, and post his address, we will open the session to audience for questions. I now hand over to Mr. Rajiv.
Hello everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. It's so difficult to address students on Friday evenings. We were used to doing this where you had to fill up seats. So I have like a 60 slider. I'm just joking. I don't have any slides. And I think it's always great to come back to campus. It's almost like a sort of a second home for me personally. And Professor RTK, the first time I actually saw him, I think he was invigilating in my CAT exam, and this was in Chennai in Loyola College. And of course, he was also a prof when I was a student. So I just wanted to do one sort of dipstick. How many here are from IMB, like students of IMB? Okay, so I'll keep one last point for those who are here, because obviously campus is very close. But given there's a lot of you who are not IMB, there's the topic here, which is around my experiences. I'm going to do it slightly differently so that you can ask the questions in the sort of the second half. So I'm going to talk maybe the first 5-10 minutes. Some of it might look like a humble brag. I'm sorry about that, but I'll just walk through some of my experiences because some of it really started probably here or even way back in school. I'll also sort of talk about two very specific frameworks, which is very applicable for all of you, including this part of the audience. And I'll also talk about sort of 2+1, which is very specific to the folks who are in IMB. And my suggestion is for you to all, talk to, at least your fellow students about it. I've been very, very privileged and very lucky, to be here today. I pretty much come to campus almost once every year. And I think for me, the whole journey, if you look at the first line there, it says engineer. How many of you have an engineering background? That's probably like 50-60% of the audience. In our batch, probably that was like 80% of the audience. So I think for me, the whole engineering, you must imagine a time where computers were still not, omnipresent, right? And the first time I saw a computer and actually coded and I saw Hello World, it was like, wow, this is something which is sort of magical, right? And this was 1994, so 30 years back. Some of you probably were not born. Many of you were probably not born. And I was in my, just between 10th standard and 11th standard. And I coded this and I was like, wow, this is just phenomenal. This is where I'm going to spend the next many, many years of my life. I didn't realize that that was going to be almost 30, 40 years or pretty much forever. So that's when literally my engineering, career started, I would say, not when I went to IIT. So I actually finished school, went to IIT Madras. IIT Madras, I did the, phenomenal branch of naval architecture where you have to design ships. It was in computers, not in designing ships. I very quickly realized in second year that I'm not going to be designing ships for my life. I was also extremely patriotic, and I think in IIT Madras, at least at that time, almost 85% of the batch would go off to the US to study, right? So doing MS, doing GRE, doing TOEFL was the thing. I said, no, I'm not going to go. I had these huge debates with my friends. How would you go? How would you sell yourself to the US? And I stayed back, and I chose to stay back. So I doing career at that time, not applicable to all the MBA students here. At that time was Infosys. So I got into Infosys, came to Bangalore. I just loved coding, right? I loved coding for a big enterprise. I very quickly realized that, you need certain brand names. You're a very conservative school kid in Chennai. You're taught that, okay, you have to have these in your resume. You have to have an IIT, you have to have an IIM. I said, okay, 2 years experience in Infosys. I loved Infosys. And somewhere in Infosys sort of literally started my entrepreneurial career, right? Which is, I actually coded an entire website in Infosys. And this was 2001, 2002. How many of you understand web language? How many of you have some kind of experience in software companies? Anyone here? So in software companies, one of the things that you actually look at every day is what's your daily active users if you're building a website or if you're building a mobile app. So I actually built this entire website within Infosys. It used to have a lot of songs and downloads and Aishwarya wallpapers and all the things that people wanted, right? So I actually wrote a media player, and so everyone in Infosys Chennai and Infosys Bangalore would actually come to that website every single day. And for me, I think it sort of really felt like, okay, if I can create something where people can come and spend time, be happy, doing something which is listening to music or download, my life is made. Everything else is secondary, right? And that for me actually literally happened in Infosys. It actually happened in IIT Madras, where I coded a game. How many of you have heard of this series or game called Carmen Sandiego? Oh my goodness, folks are either too young or too old. So, okay, Carmen Sandiego is a pretty popular series on Netflix, at least for the kids of this generation, and it's a detective game where you actually sort of search and find the thief. And I actually coded a Carmen Sandiego version for India, where you go to different cities and you have to catch the thief. So that became extremely popular in IIT Madras, and I said, okay, maybe coding something, seeing people use it, seeing people happy is my sort of magic, right? So I continued that Infosys, built this website. It became a massive rage within Infosys. The Infosys Chennai network folks had to come and tell me, please shut down your website. It is causing traffic for clients, who are trying to use the network. So I had to literally shut it down in certain times. And the moment I saw all this, that people were actually getting impacted, I said, okay, what is this going to lead to, right? So this was the time when I came to IIM Bangalore, 2002 to 2004. And for me, 2002 to 2004 was probably the most defining experience. And I'll talk about that in the third part. And, literally IIMB made a lot of who I am today, because I just completely unleashed myself from what I had done at IIT, what I had done at Infosys, on to IIMB, right? It was like a complete free canvas, but I'll come to that in a bit. So I also realized that, okay, I'm going to do very outside the off stump on finance. I am really bad at it. Okay, so I decided I'm not going to do finance. Very quickly, I realized that I was really bad at it. I also did my summers in marketing, and in Hyderabad heat, I went to in Britannia, did a lot of selling of biscuits, and I realized I'm not going to be doing this selling of soap, shampoo, biscuits. So when you sort of eliminate two options, which is finance and marketing, you're sort of back to either consulting and strategy, or you're back to IT or tech, right? So consulting and strategy, I realized very quickly that you have to travel almost every week, and you've got to, go visit factories. And I said, okay, that sounds exciting because all the top rankers are preparing for that, but it's really not for me. So finally, in placements, I literally applied only for two companies. One was TAS and one was Cognizant. I was very clear. TAS I didn't get through, and Cognizant I got through in a 6-minute interview. And I said, okay, life is made. I'm back in Chennai. I'm going to now move from coding to what is called product management in the enterprise world. So that is sort of the second shift, which is to say, okay, I used to code, and this is probably in hindsight maybe a big mistake, but I don't have any regrets on it. I stopped coding the day I left out of IMB. IMB, I did a lot of coding. As I said, I'll come back to that in the third part. I moved to Cognizant, completely focused on building, products for the enterprise world. It started with a waste management system for manufacturing clients in the US. I actually said, okay, in Cognizant, if you have to really grow, you have two paths. One is you grow off, in the Chennai ecosystem, you have to really be a delivery manager. You have to manage a lot of people. You have to sort of promise projects for clients in the US. I said, okay, that's interesting, but that's not probably what I want to do after MBA. Then I said, okay, let me go try living abroad. And of course, I had violently rejected that after IIT. I said, okay, let me try it. Let's not have this bias. And so I actually chose this fantastic place called Switzerland and said, okay, let me try actually living. And the 1 year I said, I actually lived there, I realized I was so not suitable for this, selling enterprise services to manufacturing clients in Switzerland, a language, it was German, wine and dine. I was a teetotaler, at least back then. And it was just completely a misfit. And this whole celebrated fast promotions and Cognizant, I land there and I'm a miserable, abject failure, right? I said, okay, this is not for me. I've had a great 3 years. The last year has been pretty bad. I said, okay, where was my heart? And I then went back and said, okay, it was really in product for consumers. When I build something and consumers are happy, it is just much better. So I said, okay, let me see if I can get into the internet world. And this was, imagine this was 2007. The internet and internet companies were still new. Product management in the consumer world was still new. It was all happening in the US. India was still getting set up for product management today. How many of you want to get into product management as a career? Hands up. That's a smaller number than I thought it would be. But product management as a career choice is fantastic if you want to be in the internet world. So I said, okay, let me try my hand. So I somewhere after a lot of interviews, a lot of heartache, got into Yahoo. And Yahoo was sort of the, really at that time, the breeding ground for product managers and UX designers. You see a lot of, unicorn entrepreneurs today who are all ex-Yahoo. And I came to Yahoo, I came to Bangalore. That was the year I shifted to Bangalore. This was 2008, almost 16 years back. And that was a great shift because, it sort of got me from enterprise product to really consumer product, right? Consumer product is a very different beast. You sort of interact with users. You don't have a client defining your requirements. You look at a lot of data. You also see what are the patterns, and then you build products, and then you hope that some of it people will use, right? This is, I used to manage all of Yahoo India's media properties. That was Yahoo Cricket, Yahoo Finance, Yahoo News, movies. So imagine watching cricket and giving cricket opinions for a living. That was phenomenal, right? So 3 years, 4 years, I did that, really learned the ropes. But then Yahoo, any big company after a while gets to you. And for me also, I was making more presentations than products. And I said, okay, let me do something of my own. And I went back, and now this is where I paired up with someone who So I was part of Vista. I was part of the organizing committee of Vista, and we organized an FI event, and I'll come to that. But I paired up with the person that I actually did all the events at Vista in IMB with. So that's my co-founder Ashish, and he had been wanting to start up. Both of us said, let's do the startup. What is this? Everyone is talking about it. The Flipkart folks are the poster boys. 2012, we said, let's quit. Our lifestyle is very simple. We don't have too many expenses. We have 2 years of bank balance left. And we said, let's start up. So we actually went from one idea to another. We actually thought that we'll start an online grocery business. This was before Big Basket or any of these current folks. And we said, okay, let's get into online grocery. One weekend, we went to the market. We said, okay, this is certainly not happening. We are not going to do a great job. It is extremely process oriented. We said, let's ditch this idea. Then we were in the zone for 2 months. This was September 2011. We were just debating ideas. We moved from one idea to another, and we said, okay, we have to start up, and we didn't know what. Finally, we chanced upon home decor as a space, and we said, okay, let's do this. No one seems to want to do this. It's a very difficult supply chain category. Let's go start up here because competition will come here last. That was literally the thought process. And we also said this is going to be a big business. People in 2011 were not buying furniture online, but we said, okay, let's try 2 years. What's the worst thing that can happen? We shut it down and go back to work, right? So 2012, we started and that experience, of course, has been a very, very defining experience. I can't cover that in a 5-minute talk about Urban Ladder, but there's a lot of conversations on Urban Ladder. Whoever wants to be an entrepreneur, there's a lot of podcasts on just the Urban Ladder experience and how that went about. But I think for me, from becoming just a product guy in Yahoo to being a founder, you sort of grow multifold. What happened? Well, I was managing two people in Yahoo. Suddenly, you have an Urban Ladder at its peak had 1,200 people. I was defining what should be the values of the company, what's the HR policies. I used to manage technology and products. Suddenly, I was managing brand, merchandising, digital marketing, things which I had never done in Yahoo. So obviously, the scale up in the first year, 2 years was extremely exponential. Learned a lot of stuff, failed in a lot of stuff. We ended up raising capital in the first year. We ended up raising $1 million. We thought that was a lot of money. Then we ended up raising $5 million. We said, oh shit, that's a lot of money. Then in the third year, we ended up raising $70 million, which is a humongous amount of money. And we got the likes of Mr. Ratan Tata and a lot of very famous folks, this who's who of the ecosystem. And that probably was a mistake in hindsight that we got so much money in such a short time, right? We are doing the business extremely operationally profitably, in a very, very thoughtful way. And suddenly it's almost like the kid in a candy shop who's buying a, fridge full of candy. He doesn't know what to do with it. So, we used to, we grew Urban Ladder to a particular scale. And in the next 2 years, we had a lot of capital. We grew Urban Ladder to a much bigger scale, almost 250 crores. But then we also burnt a lot of money, right? So, and then you go through a very different set of experiences. So through these 6-7 years, a lot of ups and downs. Life became a sine wave almost. And as you go through that, you also realize, that's when you get to philosophy, right? When you go through ups and downs in life, philosophy starts becoming really real. And I think as someone who introduced, I think the whole One Life theory as a podcast for me came around that time. 2019, I moved furniture and somewhere through my own learning and through my own journey, I realized, okay, this is really not what my purpose is. I think I love the 0 to 1. I love the 1 to 10. I love doing everything with people. I love doing everything with creation. I love doing things with brand. But selling furniture and Urban Ladder by 2017, 18 had become very offline. Furniture retail and physical retail is not my thing. There are many better people to do that, much better than me. And I said, okay, let's get those kind of people. And somewhere, I think I enjoy the 0 to 1, 1 to 10 way more than the 10 to 100 part of the experience. And I said, okay, maybe it's time for me to figure out something else. And this happened around 2018, 2019. Around those 1.5 years, we did a lot of pivots at Urban Ladder, a lot of sort of cuts, ups and downs. And somewhere just before COVID, around October 2019, I said, okay, this is time to move. It's not a great time, but let me move. And then 6 months, I took a break. At 40, when you take a break, of course, suddenly, everything opens up or everything sort of gets eliminated, right? Because you're set in your ways. You have a particular set of experiences. People brand you for some things. Okay, he's probably good as a founder. Maybe he can do a product role. What else is he good for, right? And I actually said at 40, I'm not going to be an investor, right? Because I said 40 to 50, let me go build something. And at 50, investor job is a very nice job, maybe post-retirement. So let's do it at 50. Somewhere when COVID happened, and I was pretty much quote unquote jobless, pretty much all the conversations just completely nosedived, right? And I think there's also a bunch of burnout that was created by the Urban Ladder experience. I said, okay, I don't have a great idea to be a founder. Let me figure out what's the next best thing I can do. And that's when this option of actually starting an investing entity came. The Antler guys had tried to start India. Antler, by the way, for all of you who don't know, it's a Singapore headquartered company, and it was a very new company in 2020. It was started in 2018 by a guy called Magnus. Magnus happens to be the batchmate of Mark Zuckerberg. So he actually raised money from Eduardo Saverin, who's the co-founder of Zuckerberg, and started Antler to say that let's democratize entrepreneurship across the world. And the different thing that he did was he said, I'm going to be local in every country, and I'm going to get someone in that country to run Antler in that country, right? I'm not going to sit in Singapore and oversee operations. I'm going to make it in a very, very decentralized way. It's the way McKinsey operates. It's the way many consulting companies operate. Magnus was ex-McKinsey. And he said, let me use the philosophy of McKinsey, but also create this extremely global venture capital platform. And he had seen he had been an operator, he had been a McKinsey consultant, he had sold a startup for 700 million. And he said he was seeing a lot of his people becoming founders. And he wanted to encourage that journey. So he said, I'm going to go literally to every country, figure out all the smart people who want to become founders, help them in their 0 to 1 journey. And I'm going to build this platform, which is going to help that. At that time, of course, Antler was in 5 geographies. It was managing around $70 million. And I was like the 6th partner who had to go create India. This was around June 2020. I signed up. This was almost 4 years back. And then I said, okay, this is an independent mandate. This is a very founder mandate. And one of the things I've realized is Antler is less about investing, more about creating. In the last 3-4 years, for me personally, it has been very similar to actually the first 3-4 years of Urban Ladder. I have created a brand. I have actually gotten people into the fold. We have raised money, we raised almost $100 million in Oberlanda. We have raised $75 million for Antler. And it has been very, very entrepreneurial. And for me, I go back to school days, to IoT days. For me, the joy of everything is creation. The joy of everything is legacy and creating impact. And it is to really see that, okay, there are people that are getting impacted. Will this be a success or a failure? No one knows. But at this moment, I'm enjoying it. I think we've had a great team. We've got a great start. We are sector agnostic. We do, investments of 250K. We will be investing around 120 companies. We already invested in 60. And it's been a great start, but the next 1.5 years, we also increase the pace of investment. Is the job investing? I don't know. I think it feels closer to being a temporary co-founder rather than investing, because I'm not at the stage at which we invest. There's nothing other than the founder. So it's pretty exciting. There is no data, there's no product, there's no nothing. So it's been a phenomenal journey that way of starting from a software engineer to actually going into product, both enterprise and consumer, and then actually starting a company, learning the ropes on HR, marketing, and investing right now. And, as is true to IMB tradition, after 20 years, you have to give back Gyan. So, as an investor, you do give a Gyan a lot to founders. So it's sort of, life has come all the way back, which is what I'm translating now to all of you. But I think in all of this, I have found two things, right? Which is one, and this is probably what you should take down, at least the folks who are serious about their careers. One is, how many of you have heard of this 4 circles framework of Ikigai and finding, your sweet spot of careers? It's a very low number for this audience. I think everyone should read about it. Just search for Ikigai and careers. The 4 circles that actually happen are what gives you, and this is what college teaches you, which is there are 4 circles, and your best career is something which is in the, literally in the intersection of all these 4 circles. The 4 circles being what gives you money, what you are good at, what you really like doing, and fourth is what the world needs. I'll repeat: what gives you money, what you are good at, what you're passionate or skillful or like doing, and what gives you money. And if you imagine, these 4 could be very different things for many of you because you're all very early in your careers. A lot of education in our education system teaches you to go from what gives you money. So day zero jobs is the most coveted. You go to an investment bank or a consulting job. You hopefully get good at it by doing it over the next 2-3 years. And then you go on to build passion in it. Because you're getting good at it, you actually are passionate about it. And you will consider at some point in time, you will also impact the world. But there is another way to traverse the same circles, which is the reverse way, which is how the founder thinks. What does the world need? What am I good at? What am I, after being good at, spend time and get better at? And hopefully, some point in time, what gives me money? So it's the reverse of traversing the circles of how, as an employee, you traverse. And I would encourage all of you, how many of you here want to be founders some point in your life? Yeah, I expected this number. So, if you want to be founders at some point in your life, the earlier you can shift to the second way of looking at these circles, the easier it is for you to arrive at what you want to build, right? And if you see that journey, maybe for me, it took 10 years before I started Urban Ladder. And it took, and maybe I think, and the other point in this is, it is not that you have only one set of 4 circles in your career. Careers are long. It's 30, 40, 50 years careers. You will have multiple such circles with time. You will start liking new things. Some industries will go out of whack. Some industries will become completely new. No one knows what's going to happen with AI and stuff. So you will have these multiple circles. So it's not like today you have these circles. You're so clear. I'm so good at this, not good at this. This is the industry I want to be, blah, blah, blah. Down the line, you could have very different views on all of this because you have learned something, you've become better at something, you suck at something. Something else is giving money. Something else you started off is not giving money. Who knows? Investment banking might go completely out of whack because AI is completely replaced all traders. Or consulting is going completely out of whack for all you know, right? Maybe it is to be a lorry driver. I don't know, right? 10 years out. So it is so unpredictable in terms of what's going to be, especially with the pace of innovation, that the circles and what this is could be very different. And in a span of 3-4 decades, this is my 3rd decade that I've entered. After 21, 22 years of work experience, things are very different compared to 20 years back what it was. So be ready for traversing the circles in multiple ways, as well as just having multiple circles. That's the first point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is this framework that I use called career maps. How many of you have traveled outside India? This number in our batch, if I had asked 20 years back, was probably like one person or two people, right? This number is a huge number, and this number will probably be in 3-4 years, almost everyone will raise their hands up. When you go outside India, and I'm going to use this analogy to say that careers today are no longer paths, they are maps. A path is a linear straight line. A map is a thing that you go from one place to another. When you go to Europe, you ask for history. You don't ask for deserts. You don't ask, maybe you ask for mountains. When you go to the US, you're not going to ask for history. You're going to ask for, okay, big cities, New York, city life. You're not going to ask for wildlife. I mean, there is wildlife there in the form of political leaders, but so you go to Africa, you're not going to ask for, fantastic living places and stuff. You're going to ask for wildlife, right? You go to Asia, you ask for something else. You go to India, you ask for temples, history, I don't know. In no single place are you going to get everything at the same time. You're not going to get a phenomenal stay and, phenomenal city life and this and that. They're very, very rare. Why should it be any different in the jobs that you pick? If you imagine that your career is going to be in the next 3-4 decades, be spread across, there are some people who are maybe as lucky as Mark Zuckerberg is, where he had just one job for the last 25 years, 20 years, whatever it is. But there are others for whom, I've had 4-5 jobs and 4-5 careers. Many of you over a 4-5 decade will have 10 jobs, 10 careers at the minimum. Some might have 20 also, right? Nothing for or against. And when you make those moves, do not try and optimize on all of these 5-6 things. Everyone wants everything to be utopian, that I want both the history as well as, city life as well as comforts. That's almost like saying, I want this exact sector. I want this exact function. I want this exact stage of company. I want this exact kind of boss. I want this exact, perks. I want this exact successful thing, this exact city, this kind of financial perks. The more you do all of this, it's so difficult. But if you look life as, I'm going to, okay, in this phase of life, this is something I want to try. I want to get into AI. I want to get into this sector because either of the two things, right? I want to do something or I want to do this really desperately. If you're clear of that, you could be someone who's like, I want to be in Delhi, right? Okay, fine. Pick that kind of a job, right? But you want to be in a particular sector or a particular role or be in a startup. One of the reasons I wore a t-shirt and not a blazer is to say startup life is phenomenal. It makes you learn a lot. It also gives you a lot of responsibilities and the pace of growth. What's a startup? It just grows at a rate which is very, very different. And I encourage all of those who lifted their hands, before you start up, at least work in a startup once or twice. 2 experiences, at least 3-4 years of each of those experiences before you start up. You will do a world of good for yourself in maximizing the chance of success for yourself. So if you're going to be working in a startup, right, don't optimize for pay, don't optimize for, okay, I want this and that and convenient life and stuff. Then you're not optimizing for the experience that you need to. So any of your jobs, when you're making a shift, do not try and optimize for all variables and then be stuck at, oh, I'm not getting all of this together. You will never get it, right? So optimize for what is important or eliminate what is not important and then, get that. As long as you get that, be okay to compromise on something else. So you actually build a very rich set of experiences. Someone who has traveled to Europe, to an Africa, to a US, has a very rich set of experiences rather than someone who only keeps going to New York or only keeps going to Africa, right? So that's how you should see your career. See it as a map, don't see it as a path. And that's an important second point that I wanted to sort of cover. The next point is very philosophical, given there's a lot of IMB folks and a lot of you folks who are in, here from different institutes. I think the biggest lesson in life is, and don't take yourself too seriously. You're all going to have way more failures than successes. Okay, way more failures than success. And, we've had in our batch 20 years later, we are coming back to campus in December for our 20th year reunion. And we had, the extremes of loss, people dying. There have been enough people in the batch who have passed away. Divorces, I've had one, divorces. We've had people shut down startups. People who had a lot of great hair in campus not have hair anymore. Girlfriend breakups, and people who are shining lights in campus, the DMLs and stuff, not doing anywhere close to that. And people who have nothing in campus earning way more money. So do not take yourself too seriously just because you're in campus and someone is, just doing fantastic right now. This too shall pass, which is you're phenomenal today. you are going to go on. You are in the absolute rock bottom today, you are going to come up, right? So, and LinkedIn, her introduction obviously will only talk about what is written on LinkedIn. It doesn't talk about all the failures because obviously no one puts all that on LinkedIn. Way more failures, which have been way more interesting to learn from than successes, right? In the last 20 years, as much as I'm here as the chief guest and stuff. So, everybody are going to have all those failures, but of course, you're also going to have successes, which is your friend one of you will build a unicorn company. One of you will be, right next to, I don't know, Rajnikant or Amir Khan or put a photo. One of you will be a supermodel or, so there's going to be a lot of successes also. One of you is going to have 1,000 crores. One of you is going to contribute back a big check to Professor Atike's, campus donations. So I think there'll be a lot of successes. The point about not taking yourself too seriously is do not be a jerk in campus and do not just read and study in campus, please. I used to be part of every single club in campus. I created the intranet for campus, which again stood for 10 years, 12 years, I don't know when. It was called Spidey. I was part of placement control room. I coded the software I coded the placement control room software, which was used for 4 or 5 years later. I was part of FI, Vista. Me and Ashish, my co-founder, pretty much managed all of this. I remember our previous year's budget was 1 lakh rupee. We increased it to 15 lakh rupees in our year. We had 3 events. The first day, we had, how many of you have heard of CK Prahlad? We had him open the whole of Vista. The second day, we had P. Chidambaram here. Just before Mr. P. Chidambaram came and talked here, that volume didn't work. I ran behind and I adjusted the volume in that room, right? And then the video came up. And we had Mr. Siddharth Basu anchoring the quiz on third day. And I don't think I only had seen that kind of a scale of people, right? And it's only a 12-member team, by the way. We probably had like 10, 11 juniors. Our bachelor's was 200 compared to your 600. And it was for me the most formative years. The reason I keep coming to campus at least once every year is it made a lot of us. It made a lot of us who we are. So don't be uptight in your room, just studying. Do not put a resume point. Do not join a club to put in a resume point. Please do not do that. It is the worst thing you can do. Start something here, fail here. People are not going to judge you. Have friends when you don't, need them, right? Be nice to each other. And I used to, of course, it's easier when you have a batch of 200. The 10, 15 of us who I think have done reasonably well for ourselves, each of us with no agenda knew each one of the 200 juniors, each one of the 200 campus, people in our batch, and each one of the 200 seniors, because we had to manage placement. So you had to know who's going to which company. You had to obviously track, who's ready for the next interview and stuff. And we just genuinely felt it is something that was important. Now, of course, all of this put together is 600. I know the batch size today is 600. But it is just so important to let loose on campus. We had L square parties. I'm sorry about this, but we had L square parties every alternate week. And we used to dance like buffoons, but we used to still dance on the dance floor. A lot of us at that time were teetotalers. We didn't have alcohol, and we still used to dance till 6 a.m. So please shake a leg. Please stop being uptight. Please don't join a club for the sake of it. This is the best 2 years of your life, I can tell you now, 20 years later, right? And enjoy that. Thank you for having me here. And best wishes for all of your careers.
Uh, Thanks a lot, sir. This was a great session. I'm pretty sure everybody enjoyed it. So now we'll have a brief question and answers round. If anybody has any question, please raise the hand. We'll provide you with mic.
Hello, sir. My name is Arnav. During your speech, you had mentioned that in your stint as an investor right now, you do not look into the company as much as you look into the founder. So what, in your opinion, piques your interest in types of founders that you see in today's day?
I expected this to be certainly one of the questions, and good that you asked it right at the start. So I think the thing with pre-seed investing, which is the stage at which we come in, where there's only a founder and the founder's idea, is there are 4 or 5 things. And this is, it's not just my answer. You'll hear this from any pre-seed investor largely. It's just the way in which you assess might be slightly different. So the first one that you look for is someone who is really passionate about a particular problem statement. They want to, they're just not able to, they're so obsessed about the customer that and the problem that they want to solve that they cannot sleep. They are like waking up to it. So obsession is the first thing we look for. Second is they generally have a lot of grit and tenacity. As I said, the founder journey, especially if you decide to raise venture capital, is filled with so many ups and downs. You think that you are your own boss? No, you're going to get suddenly 100 bosses. Your employee, your customer, your press, your investors, your own peers, your leads, whatever it is, right? So you're going to really have to be gritty and go through ups and downs. You would have done that maybe in personal life, that's also fine. But if you've not really seen failure, you're probably going to be a bad founder because this is going to really thrash you on the floor, right? So the reason I said don't take yourself seriously is to say that you will, and make sure that, don't be in your comfort zone. Everyone thinks that life, the career path is hill, 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 and then you just keep climbing up. And they just, what's your failure? They have this very fake failure in their, answer, right? Oh, I did this, or what's the mistake? What's your sort of fall point? What do you not do well? I think I spent too much time on work. All the safe answers. No, you should have abject failure. You should have abject failure. You should have taken a project. You should have been an embarrassment in front of the company. That means that you have tried something. And I had that at Yahoo. I had that at Cognizant, right? Which is I tried a completely new project in Yahoo, which everyone else didn't want to take. And I said, I will take. If I had not done that project, I don't think I would have actually started Urban Ladder. Because I was again on a career path where I was given an award by the CEO and this and that. And I said, I'll be a nice thing in Yahoo, but I'm never going to really be an entrepreneur. So I would say grit, tenacity to really go through that grind. That's the second one. Third is ambition. Ambition to really create something which is beyond your time. Any institution, you have to assume, is going to last beyond you, or it's going to die, right? Of course, death is a 97% probability in the venture capital world, 97% probability, which means in those 3% cases, there are some institutions which will last beyond you. You have to build an institution. We were built today. Urban Ladder still exists, right? We are not part of it, but Urban Ladder still exists as a Reliance brand. I don't know for how long, maybe, for a few more years, few more decades, I don't know. But there is a legacy and there are people buying. We have no stake in it. We have no way to impact anything there. But you have to build an institution for beyond you. And what is your ambition for doing it 5 years out, 10 years out? Why are you doing what you're doing? That's the third one. The fourth one is clarity and just the ability to get into the next level detail, which is, are you really talking the next level detail on data, on customer insighting, on whatever it is? Because if you can't go to the next level detail, and if you have this, for every one unicorn, 100 others have had that idea before. The people who are, and so that's the fifth point, which is your ability to iterate and execute, right? Which is, you have clarity of thinking, you have ambition, you have grit, but if you don't execute, and what is execution is to pull people together, is to really be able to say that next week I would have this, particular thing done and put it into the market, get feedback, change it, all of that stuff, right? Otherwise, I can assure you the number of people who have had great ideas is at least 99:1, right? Only the one person who actually does it. And out of that 100 like that will fail also. But too many people who have had the ideas and they live in regret, right? One of the, I didn't want it to get too philosophical. One of the biggest frameworks I personally live by is this regret minimization. And you should go read about it, right? Which is, you don't want regrets. 20 years later, 30, oh shit, that was an idea I should have done. Or, and all of you folks are in a great situation because I don't think any career today you can predict. 20 years back, we could still predict, okay, investment banking, you'll retire at 40, consulting, you'll probably retire at 45, whatever else, right? It is very hard to predict all that today because of AI. And that's good because all of you don't have careers beyond the next 3-4 years. No one knows. Everyone thought when AI was introduced that all the sort of automation tasks will be, but it's art and music and really high-end jobs that are getting automated. So I think you will have to, that will force yourself to say that, okay, if I go build something out, I have all of this and I've really thought through and I'm passionate. So these are the 4-5 things in different ways that we look at, which essentially also means that all of these are reasonably judgment-based. And we also know out of 120 companies, only 3 of them will be big hits and 50 to 60 will fail immediately. So that's the mortality rate at pre-seed.
So one more question. what is the skill set do you think as someone who wants to be a founder I should get right now?
It's a great question. Never thought through this one. I think just let yourself loose, which is try a lot of things, network when you don't need, be shamelessly curious, because I think there is people are willing to spend time with students, right? You have to give Gyan some point in time as an MBA, but I think it's just, you can be curious and try things. In these 2 years, you also get an ample amount of time. I don't know how the grading system is today, but after 4 semesters, you have some leeway, right? At least in the IMB side of things. So I think you just have to let loose as a student, because that's the last time you're going to get. After which, when you get into a job, you just don't have that kind of time. Either you're doing a crappy job, in which case you have a lot of time, but you should not be in crappy jobs, or you're in a job where you're so passionate, then also you won't get any time. So you just let loose.
Thank you, sir.
And network.
Hi, sir. Hello, sir. My name is Bharat. I'm actually a Chennai guy who's doing his MBA at NSB Academy. So I have a few questions based on a mindset. Actually, I've gone through a lot through a career. So from IIT to IIMB, then to Yahoo, then you started co-founded the Urban Ladder, then you came to Antler India. So what were your inner battles? Because you had to make a lot of decisions, right? You had to face a lot of inner battles, whether I should do this or not. You would have been like a case study, you would have had a lot of dilemmas. That is my first question. And my second question leads to what attitude is basically required for a student like me who's doing MBA? Because people who are doing MBA and IMB, right, they have a separate attitude. That is why they get a very good package. So people like me who couldn't get into IMBs, so what would you suggest for us?
Absolutely great questions. I just wasn't anticipating Friday evening this level of questioning, but great to have these questions. I'll answer the second one first. I am an IMB and I'm very proud of it. But this matters extremely little after many years. Okay, it has no bearing on success. There are enough failures from IMB. There are enough successes. Actually, some of the successes are coming from absolutely not the. So I make fun of my own, all of this IIT IIM thing, on the side, but I am in the campus, so I can't. But it is. So I think it builds in rigor, it builds in confidence, it builds in a great network, because there are advantages, but it also gives you a fake sense of security, or it gives you a fake sense of entitlement, or that you've just landed, right? And I don't think people should do that. So to your question, I think the more you can prove post your passing out, the easier it gets, because at the end of it, after a few years, no one cares about where you graduated from, right? And it's just very simple. There is something, maybe people will respond to a LinkedIn message, but that's all, right? Because you are this institute's alumnus. And that happened. Urban Ladder, when we reached out, we needed furniture manufacturers. Who the hell cares what your IMB, McKinsey? Nothing. 200 people reached out. One of them responded out of 200, right? That requires a lot of grit and tenacity, but no IM thing helped there, right? So but the first set of customers, the first set of investors were all our network. So there's a clear advantage. And I would actually go back to your first sort of, somewhere a combined question, which is what is the mindset beyond you get into IMB, fine, you put a lot of effort, maybe you got lucky, maybe someone else didn't, that day cat was bad, whatever it is, right? So you can't go change the past. You can do phenomenally well in your current and your future, right? And for me, the mindset, if you ask me, is I still go back to the same answer, which is curiosity. AI is completely new. Web3 was completely new 2 years back. No one knows whether it's going to take off. AI probably has a higher probability, but no 40-year-old can match the rate of understanding of AI that you might have. But if you're lazy about it, sorry. If you're lazy about it to say that, hey, I'm okay, let the campus place me, then nothing is going to happen, right? Then, unfortunately, if you're not in the tier 1, then it becomes a tougher and tougher game. So you'll have to somewhere make up what you said is the right word, which is attitude, mindset, to say that, okay, I am in this institution. I have 2 years. I'm going to learn. Maybe some subjects are great. Some profs are great. Some are not. I have a great network of people. Some will become successful. Some will be not. I'm going to network. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to try a few things, but I'm going to also be curious. I'm going to network, be curious. At the end of the day, out of the 5 muscles, the thing that you can develop the most is clarity of thinking. The MBA trains you for that, right? Which is really go deep 101 on customers, positioning, problem statement, all of that stuff. So clarity of thinking, get a job market. Last year, where people got absolutely, it was just such a bad market. It's just such a luck of the draw. When we were in the placement committee, we got so screwed in 2001. We couldn't place all our seniors. We couldn't place all our own batch for summers. The next year, the market changed. We placed everyone. And so it was not that people were more intelligent the next year. It's just that luck of the draw. People just didn't get into enough I banks. The next year, people got into I banks. 2008 happened, I banks just went off. So it was not like the person graduating in 2008 is any less qualified or ambitious than someone graduating 2012 when iBanks gave 100 jobs, let's say, right? It's just there's a lot of luck of the draw. So take whatever has happened as luck of the draw, and just there's too many more things out there to achieve, and you have the entirety of your career. I very specifically predict that no one is going to retire in this generation, in my generation, because this is a muscle like the body. If you retire, this is going to die, and you don't want to be an idiot after retirement where you're not using it, right? You're becoming useless. So everyone is going to work till they die, whether they spend 30, 40 hours a week or whether they spend 80 hours like Elon Musk is the difference. So you would have to continuously keep this occupied, which essentially means that the clarity of thinking and curiosity are two things that will come along with you. And look at Bill Gates. At 70, he is getting into what is the best way to toilet, and he has Microsoft, he has $100 billion, right? So it is curiosity and the clarity of thinking, which I would just really push ahead and create avenues that give you that.
So just one more question.
Sorry if the answers are taking a bit more time.
So just one more question, just out of curiosity. So entrepreneur.
That's really good. You developed the skills so soon.
No, sir, it is. Sir, entrepreneur versus entrepreneur. Since you have been talking about founding business and you're encouraging us to become more of entrepreneurs, right? So as soon as I complete my MBA, so first I would be going as a management trainee at any place. But which would you suggest for a long run? Because nowadays, even if you do a startup, there are a lot of chances that we are going to face failures, right? You mentioned a lot of failures will be there. But which is better, entrepreneur or entrepreneur?
There is nothing which is better than anything. Okay. As long as you're doing something which is kick-ass, Sundar Pichai is also creating impact. He's never been a founder in his life, but he is creating impact to 1 billion people. Someone who's starting up today as a 23-year-old is also creating impact and is, doing fantastic job of actually creating. There is no A versus B. Everyone is creating impact in the way that they feel is right for them, right? So I would never do A versus B. Do something, as I said in that career map framework, do something which is occupying you, you are impacting, you're growing, you're seeing, failures and successes, and you're really enjoying that experience and the process of it, right? There is no one thing. You can be a founder at 50 and create a great company. You can be a founder at 25, create a bad company. It's so hard to predict, but do something, you will know when it is right. Right? I mean, we started at 33. I see founders of 25 today way more mature than when I was at 33. So I think the maturity of the ecosystem will also lend itself to younger entrepreneurs, but there's nothing for or against starting at 25. In fact, I would actually say if you had a choice, start after a few years, not so early. Get a few experiences, get a network going, understand which customer you are more obsessed about, develop passion into something where you believe you want to create, and then become a founder. You'll have a much higher chance. Anyway, the chances of success are so small. If you can increase it from 2% to 4%, it's better that you do it that way.
So due to paucity of time, I think we'll have one last question. Yeah. Sir, whoever you want to take.
Hello.
I am fine in taking 2-3 questions, but leave it to that.
So, let me share from IIT Chennai. So, just a small question. You said there was lots of failures in your life. What has been that constant source of motivation for you? Like, because you have gone from company to company now into investing. What is your constant source of motivation for to keep it going?
All of us are going to die. No one on earth cares who you are. It doesn't matter. Do you remember the biggest king of the Inca Empire or the Aztec Empire or whatever? No one knows, right? So my point on the third thing was to say, just do not, and I think your question also alluded to that, which is, if you don't have enough failures, you're not trying hard enough. If you have only failures, then also you're not trying hard enough. So somewhere, it's a story you have to just tell yourself, right? If what you tried is a success, you tell that in that story. If it didn't work out, you give a story around it. At the end of the day, all of us are living our own life stories and just weave that into the story. It is not that I chose to spend 6 months, but today the way I talk about those 6 months is, I did this and I did that too. It's just a goddamn story to fit the whole narrative. All of us are just giving those narratives and stories so that we are, at the end of the day, there is just no purpose to life. All the, that's, you'll realize it sometime, right? It's all a nice story, right? That, a lot of gurus and all of them do, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. When you know it doesn't matter, you might as well spend time on doing something which is worthwhile. Some will succeed, some will fail. We didn't make Urban Ladder was a distress sale. Did we want to do a distress sale after 8, 9 years? No, but we had to do it. And so nothing beyond a point is planned. Have a simple lifestyle so your money needs are not, I'm nothing against people who have materialistic pursuits and want a Tesla and this and that, but one of the things that I didn't talk about is you will do really well if you keep your lifestyle requirements much simpler. Because there's always this constant pressure, right? People in your batch are buying them 3-bedroom house and a big car and going to France for Olympics and all of that stuff. And you just do what is fun for you. And today people are way more. 20th year reunion we're doing this year, and I'm sure people have figured out who they are, what gives them happiness. They've architected life. They're very happy for someone who's created a unicorn. They're very happy for someone who's entered politics. They're very happy for someone who is, as long as they're themselves happy with what they're doing, right? Because there's no comparison. Someone is earning 3 crores and someone is earning still maybe 80 lakhs, 60 lakhs. I don't know, right? So I think it is just the moment that sets in, and all of us have to rise through our own Maslow's hierarchy. It's easier said than done for me sitting in this side after 20 years. When I was on that side 20 years back, it'll be like, who the hell is this guy who's saying? So that's fair. My thing is, you go through your own Maslow's hierarchy in your way, and you will get to, the peak.
I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Rajiv Srivatsa for inspiring and for his inspiring and insightful talk today. Your experiences and wisdom shared so generously with us have provided invaluable lessons in entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. Your insights into the challenges and triumphs of building a successful venture, as well as your reflections on career and transitions, have undoubtedly left a lasting impact on all of us. As an alumnus of IIM Bangalore, your achievements resonate deeply with current students, inspiring us to dream big and to follow in your footsteps. We are deeply grateful for the time you have taken out of your busy schedule to be with us and for sharing your knowledge in such a compelling and engaging manner. Thank you once again, Mr. Rajiv, for your presence and for making this session truly memorable. We look forward to following your journey and to welcome back to IIM Bangalore in the future. We would like to present a token of our gratitude to you. I request Director Sir to please do the honors. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the dignitaries on stage.